Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to episode 10 of Fixing Up the Commonwealth. I forgot where I was there. We're still at County Crossing. And today we're going to work on this far end of the settlement. We're going to do a few little transitional areas a la Mustang. And then we're going to build a little bit more a residential area off to the right there. So no real big plan here today. I start with the idea that I want to do some transitional areas. We'll get into the build menu now, and just see where it takes me. So I'm going to start in here, and these are easy to do, but you'll see in the final tour these really do. I really like them. I'm surprised how much I like them because they start to link various parts of the settlement with others, and are a little bit more interesting than just leaving it as it is. And I think this is something I'll do a little bit more in my builds going forward. So we're going to put that shack foundation floor down. I want to get that as close to that wall as possible, so it takes a little bit doing, but we do get in there. And here I'm just thinking about where I want to go and what I want to do with all of this. And as I said, I just start with this transitional area idea, and then it just kind of grows from there. So you can see that's not quite close enough. I'm going to drop that in there, snap that to there, hopefully. There we go. Now you can see it blocks off that kind of little alleyway through, but I'm not too worried about this, because that's what these transitional areas are designed to do. They're designed to move you through the settlement and make sense. So just pop that in there like that. In we go. And we'll need another ladder on the other end. We'll probably just need a little one if we can find it. I thought about putting a ramp in there, but I decided not to. Just use that. There we go. So that will transition through there like that. Now in Moss Town and how Bethesda have done it in Fallout 76, I'm just making sure that I've got at least access to there, and that's an important point. How Bethesda generally do it is then they just, instead of leaving it bare like that, maybe put railings on, they start to do what I'm about to do here, and they use these junk fences to kind of act as a kind of wall barrier, whatever you want to call it. Now I'll start with this junk fence here, and because of those tires down on the left hand side of it, I can't get it close enough. You can see it's jumping up, it's doing all kinds of stuff. So I'll look through and find that one. That works for me, so we'll get rid of that, because you want these nice and tight against there. Now that snaps in there, but we do have some issues getting in here, so I want to pull that a bit further across and get it to snap. Now we do end up pulling that a bit further up a little bit later, but then that gives me an issue like that. We will address that issue in a little while with that fence, but at this point I'm just trying to get the overall kind of look right, the overall feel right, and how this is all going to work right. And I do this a lot. Experimenting in Fallout is the key to building great settlements. Play around with different components and stuff like that, and just start throwing them together and see what works, see what doesn't work for you. And it is a very personal thing, building in Fallout 4. So what works for me will be different for what works for you. So we'll get the pillar, and we're just going to ease these into place with a pillar. Get that a little bit closer, I think. So pick it up like that, and usually you'll know because it goes green like it just did then. And it takes me a little bit of finagling, but you'll see you just got to be a little bit patient, a little bit persistent, and it'll go where it needs to. That's great. That works all pretty good, and then we'll block up here. I'm not going to block up the rest of that because it really doesn't need it, to be honest. That will actually put it down first, but I think that ends up snapping or that something. I'll get it to do something here. probably spin it around. There we go. Now sometimes you see how it snapped? Sometimes what you need to do is when it snaps like that, let it snap and then pull it across. There you go. And that's kind of the height I want. And if you go to Moss Town and you see how Moss Town works, that's the kind of height you'll get. So I'll look at that and go, I want to just pull that up. And now that's fixed that problem of getting in there now. Pretty cool. There we go, all good. Now, obviously I have a gap in there. I'm not going to block up below. What I do is I just, again, look at what my junk fence and junk fence mods have got to offer, and I'll find a solution. I think about that. It's not quite. That's not quite right. Ooh, that works, and it goes green there. So we'll just throw it in there, and you can see I've just gone with different items, different assets, and just pulled them together, and it all kind of sort of works. So that's it. That's the transitional area done. We're kind of walking through, make sure it all kind of flows. And you'll see what we do to that a little bit later. Okay. Not too worried about the gap there, because there's grass there, and I kind of think it works there. So we're just going to leave that as is. Nobody's going to fall off anything in there. They're just going to fall into the grass. So, okay. So second area, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to extend this area up. So I'm going to got to figure out how I'm going to extend this. I want this as a little entranceway, a little alleyway into the settlement through here. So drop that in like that, and then we want to keep that area usable so you can get into the settlement. So we'll just use these shack bridges, and we'll do it like that. And I'll think about doing that, and then I'll think about doing that, and then I'll look at it and I'm not happy with it. Now I hadn't planned on doing any buildings up at that end of the settlement. This was purely transitional areas, but I kind of stand back and look at this and think to myself, this has potential, so we can do something with that. And you'll see where that heads in a second. Again, I want to put a little transitional area in here. So I grab that foundation again, pop it in, maybe. And we'll come back to that in a sec. There we go. So it takes us a while to come back to that. So I'm kind of looking at this area here and going, what can I do here? So I snap this on like this. Go, okay, hang on. We're going somewhere. We're heading in a direction. Not sure where we're going, but we're heading in a direction. Push that across like that. Okay, so now okay, so this is kind of getting a little bit more interesting. Okay, so put those in there like that. And now what I want to do, now I've got the idea I want. So this is what's happening here. I'll get the idea I want, and this is a little kind of boardwalk, because suddenly the light's going on. I'm going, okay, I want to build something in here. So I'll put these down, and I can see that they're not lining up with that walkway. So what, line those up, do this, jump over, jump. Push these across like this. Okay, so now we're heading, now we got it going. On. There we go. Yep, it's starting to get somewhere. And so here we go. This is where the residential area is going to go. And we're going to keep it pretty simple in the first one on the left, and the second one we're going to go a little bit more complicated. Because what I notice is I've got a bit of height there. So we'll drop that in like that. And then we're going to get these end caps, and I'm going to do this. Now, you'll see that I'll build this whole structure the same way, but the two, and we've done this before, building the same way, the two areas are going to look completely different. Here we go, put that in there like that. And then we'll get one of these, hopefully I'll get rid of this tree in the end. It just, you can see it's sticking through it. Just yeah, it just in the end it just didn't work for me. So need to put another end cap or something on there. Put that on there like that. Now, if you want that, we're going to put a divider in here in a second. Dividing wall, divide and conquer. Now you can see I should have just dropped that, but it does actually. I do actually get it to drop in on its own like that. So that's got the 2 apartments. So I want to put a divider in there. Now, if you come across this problem, you can see it doesn't want to go in there. It's very, very easy fix to get this fixed, and I'll show you how to do it in a second. So go around here, pull that out like that, drop it over there, stick the divider in, and then put that back. It's just a build order thing. There we go, gone, done, good. Okay, so we got that's all kind of working. Put a door in, and I want these ones with the little overhang a bit thicker like that. So that's apartment number 1. It's quite compact, but I like it. We'll put the roof. I'm thinking about the roof there. We'll get to that in a while. Now, I'm going to put a different door on this one. Same style, just different door. There you go. So that they look consistent. And then I'll look at this and go, could I have a second level on this? Let's have a look. Drop a stair in like that. And let's see how we look from a height point of view. And so here we go. You can see how this just all kind of takes on a life of its own when you're building. What I'm doing here is I've thought about putting a smaller ladder in there, and depending on the height. But what I realised really quickly is that I actually have enough height to do this. So I'm going to put the walls in like that, and then I'm going to put a floor in here. Because what I want to do is I want to narrow this. I want to narrow this little alleyway that we're in at the moment between these apartments and the shops. So this is going to be this is going to be the downstairs here, and I'm going to put the ladder back in now. But sometimes you have to do that just to kind of get your head round how everything's going to work, and that's exactly what I've done here. I just needed to get my head around how this was all going to work. This is going to be the little alleyway through there, and now we're just going to put a whole heap of walls in. Again, just vary it up if you can, if the thing snaps for you. If it doesn't, make sure it does. Sometimes you just got to ease it in. I think I eventually get this it's alright. Do the same thing as we've done before, let it snap and pull it across. There you go, done. Okay, so I'm liking the direction of this. It's going in the right direction, I think. We've got a bit of work to do there, but all in all, I think it looks good. Now, you don't have to put floors down on all of this, and you don't have to have enough height to put floors down on all of this. So I want to put that in there. I want to get it a little bit closer than that though, so I think we do get it to go green. And just vary in the height. There we go. That'll work like that, and that just gives it again a different feel, a different look. It allows it to pop out, and just varies it up a fraction. Now we're going to put a wall in there just to block it in. Again, like that. It's going to be the upstairs and downstairs, and the ladders, the stairs, whatever you want to call them, will transition you down through like that. That bridge is going to be able to look in there, but I don't really care about that at this point. I think it all kind of talks to the whole feel that we're going for. I want that to go in there, yeah, like that. for some reason it's not going to snap it. So I think, okay, well, maybe single walls. And again, this is how I do it. I just experiment, see what works, what doesn't work, and just go with it. There we go. See, that's going to snap in there. So that kind of works for me. That wall doesn't stay there, we get rid of it. And you know, I'm like, okay, well, if that's not going to work there, what will? So that all I'm doing here is I'm struggling with snapping things in the right direction, seeing what kind of would fit in here. Lots of little ideas. You seem to like me seeing me kind of the whole process, the thought process, what works, what doesn't work. Put that in there as possible. You could have put your bed in there or something, but we'll block this up. We might use the metal one this time, I think. Yeah, there we go, just to vary it up a little bit. So this is all usable space, and if you've watched me for a while, I love using as much space as possible. You know, you could have just put posts on this and not used underneath. Please try and use usable space, because it'll make a huge difference to your settlement, and it just gives you a different for me it gives me a different dimension to work with doing what I'm doing here. So okay, so I wonder if that will fit. See, there we go, that'll fit in there, won't it? So we need to get it to go green. Oh, there, it just went green then. Oh. I'm going to run all the way around. That's what happens when you start running out of room, guys. Yep, this kind of stuff starts happening now. I'm going to raise this up like this. Actually, I think I end up spinning it back around, or do I? I can't remember. Leave it there, but there's a gap which would, it's not straight, and yeah, that's going to give me a problem. So I've got to get it straight, and I've got to get it a bit higher than that. So we're just going to ease it up like that. Now I know it's poking through the floor, but you'll see in a second, because I've got that right on the edge, you'll see where it's poking through, and it actually, see, you actually don't notice it. So it's not as if you're going to trip over it upstairs. So there we go, this is starting to look okay down here. It's all usable. We'll make that into something in a while. So we've got the bare bones in there. We really have. We have got the majority of the stuff we need to in, and so it's just a case of enhancing it now. And so what I want to do in here is obviously I need to put some walls in there just to block it up and make it secure. You'll see I'm not going to include it in this particular video, but actually we end up walling all the way around, because again I came back, I sleep, and then I come back, and what I always do before I start building after I sleep is I have a good look at where we're up to, and then assess what else needs to be done. So you can see again I'm using lots of different bits and bobs just to act as a wall. Use the natural environment. I'm doing that a lot more these days, and it actually works very nicely. Drop that in and just put across. Now if you angle this, it looks a little bit more interesting, but you're not going to see any of this anyway. You're going to see it from the inside, you're not going to see the other side, the back side of it. And there you go, we've got a nice downstairs little area that we can play around with, and you'll see what this all becomes in the final tour, which will be coming up pretty shortly, because it's getting night time, and once I go to sleep then we're going to give you the final tour. So pop some roofs on and all that kind of good stuff, because if it rains, yeah, although when it rains in Fallout 4 you get wet anyway, even if you're indoors. Never understood that mechanic. It's a bit of a weird one, but anyway. Another thing that I'm doing here, you'll notice I've left the doors off of these apartments. I'd encourage you to leave the doors till last, because it just makes life easier, to be honest. Turned this around because it was leaning kind of weirdly to one side, so it just evened it out a little bit, at least for me. You can see the sun is dipping a little bit, it's starting to get a bit late, so we're not going to do too much more with this build, but we do have a few things that we will show you. So here's another thing that you can do just to block up. You can see that there's to hide that foundation there. Now you could have put a floor in, a normal floor in, and then done this, but these should snap to there like that. Now what I want to do now, I use these longer pieces. You'll see in a sec. The reason I've used that other pieces is it's got some holes in it, and so it varies the texture of it. You can see this is another trick that you can use, is put one up top and forcing it to, there. See, forcing it to snap if you're having a problem. There you go, and then you can remove that top piece like that. All good, and that just again, it all kind of fills that part in, gives it an interesting look. And I deliberately went for that kind of long piece, that half long piece with the windows, just to make it look as though it's been put together loosely. Okay, so some safety rails, because yeah, probably is the next thing we're going to do, and then we'll probably go and sleep, I guess. So I'm putting that, I'm going to show you what I do with the fencing in this one. Put that in there like that. And yeah, just grab a few things and chuck them in as fences here. You don't have to do the same thing everywhere. You can play around, and that's exactly what I do here. I use this again, the same mod. I'll have to try and figure out which mod it is and leave a name for you, because I know you're going to ask me. So we're going to use these crates as part of the wall, like that. Now these are pretty soft, luckily, so they actually move into each other. But I'm going to use place anywhere anyway. Here we go, like that. And then I'm going to put one on top. So you see, that's not going to allow me, so I'm going to have to use place anywhere again to get rid of the collision, just so I can put that on top. Another different way just to make a fence. Play around with a lot of these ideas. It's, I mean, I'd never done this before. It was something that as I'm doing it, it occurred to me. So put it, see if it works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, we'll do something different. But I like it. Yep, all sort of speaks to what we need to do here. And then we got to fill in the last part, and I'm going to use this bit here. We're just going to put it there, but we're going to drop it down a fraction. So again, switching collision off. Getting very dark now, or it is starting to, so we need to work quickly. There you go. Put it in there, fit it in there, straighten it up. Sometimes you'll see I'll move my body, and I spoke about this I think the last video or the last couple of videos ago. Just chuck it in there like that, and that all kind of sort of works as a fence. Check that over there for now. Ignore the dead guy lying in the corner. You don't really need to worry about him. I can't scrap him, unfortunately, because he's one of the original settlers, so he's just going to have to lie in the corner there for a bit. Okay, so I think what we do here is we just put some railings on, and that's pretty much all we're going to do for this particular build. And I'm trying to make these builds a little bit longer than normal, but also not too long. There we go. Single one at the end. Now you could extend that, and we'll talk about that in the tour, but there we go. We're nearly done. Find a different option for that. I always kind of try and vary it up a little bit. Sometimes it can be consistent, sometimes you can just vary them up and put that in like that. And we'll go to the final tour. Enjoy, guys. So here we go, guys. This is where we started, and as you can see, we put these little transitional areas in, which you find in Mostan, and that's where the influence was. You know, you don't have to do a lot of decoration if you want to put these in. I think they're neat little transition areas, and you know, it just leads from one part of the settlement to the next. And I think it actually starts to give that really kind of towny feel, having these little transition areas. Have a look at the second one that I put down. And you can, let's walk back a bit. Dug me anyway. And you can see how it just starts to flow the settlement out a little bit more. Again, second little transitional area. Not much to it. And then we'll go up there, but let's just drop down and walk through here. I still feel I need to put some crap and decoration in here just to get it to work. You can see the building that we've done. It's all enclosed. We've wrapped around all the sides here. Now I had a look at that and it was just, it needed wrapped. And then you come in underneath, and I like another little, so it's another little alleyway which I like. You can't get in it directly, which I like as well. Come up here and let's see if we got the doors right. So we'll go to the far end and then we'll come back. So do the doors open? Yeah, they open the right way. So I've kept it very, very simple. This idea for the bed actually found in Fallout 76 and I love it so much. He has a lot of convenience in here, as you can see. Just shut the door for a sec. And I've kept it very minimal, very kind of sparse in here. A little seat to eat, but you can also kind of lean out and have a look around, which I think is quite nice. Look at the other side if we can see it. Just pan round so you can get a feel for how this all looks. Change the roof a little bit, not by much. Then we go into apartment number 2. Again, giving this a different feel, put some carpet on the floor. Not a lot to it, a little bit prettier though. He's got some flowers, or she's got some flowers. There's cap stash there. Ooh, okay. No toilet in here, so I don't know. Anyway, and then the downstairs area I've made into a kind of, there's another bed with that same design. It's kind of pseudo kitchen in here. Here's a thing that you can do. You know, you show that you have these odd things in the fridge that probably you wouldn't normally find, which I like to do. There's like a little prep kitchen area in here. So there you go, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this one. I've had a lot of fun with this. I really have. I've really gone a bit ballistic, if you like, and just started to just explore a little bit what is possible. You can see it all kind of blends in to the settlement fairly nicely, and yeah, you could potentially extend this along here, which we might do right to the edge of the boundary, and put something in this corner next. Use up all the available space. Okay guys, that's it for fixing up the Commonwealth for this week. Hope you have enjoyed this one. Oh, please, if you did, leave your wonderful comments. A like rating is always appreciated, and if you're joining us for the first time and you want to see more, don't forget to hit the subscription button. Catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya.